Hello everybody, Marty McConnell, the Off-Grid Gecko here. Turn that light off, it's kind of annoying. And so SpaceX launched 2 American astronauts into space this morning from Cape Canaveral, Florida. And that was a really exciting launch. If you missed it, you're wrong. But I am currently on the homestead. I'm working up some finishing stuff on the kiln, so I might do a video on a test fire later today and try to get it out. At some point this week, I've got videos lined up like crazy. I just need to get some good internet. I'm doing something similarly related to the space launch thing. Not really, but kind of vaguely related. I am prepping my rocket for my L1 flight. And in case you are under the conception, like so many people are these days, that modern high-power rocketry is similar to the little Estes kits that you may have built as a kid, it is not. This is the motor housing for the rocket, and this is actually a fairly small one. This housing right here can be used for H through I motors, which are significantly more powerful than even the biggest Estes motors, which stop at G. Each letter basically, it's double the amount of impulse for the rocket. The motor itself comes in a little tube packaging, which I can't open and show you everything about it because you're not supposed to take it out of its wrapper until you're actually ready to launch it. But this is the propellant grains. So there are 3 propellant grains in here. There is a nozzle, there is a black powder charge at the front, which will serve as an ejection charge for the rocket, and there's a little motor cap that's used to secure everything in place. Attached to the outside of the cardboard tube is this little coil of wire, and this is the igniter, which will be slid up into the rocket once it's on the pad. So today what I'm doing is essentially prepping the rocket for flight, doing some last minute weight checks, and installing the battery. Now, on my maiden flight of this rocket, I am trying to get my L1. Your L1 basically requires you, or it allows you to buy as many of these as you want. Now, like I said, this is an I, so this is actually the middle of the range motor for what I'll be able to purchase for subsequent flights. I can only own one of these right now, legally, and it has to be used for a certification flight. So, like I said, this is the case. It's not as big as some people. If you don't know anything about rocketry, it's probably a little underwhelming. But if you've flown Estes kits in the past and you see this thing, then, I don't know, the first time I saw one of these, my eyes lit up. I was like, ooh, I can launch things into space. So that's part of the kit. That's the back end. Now, when all this is screwed together, my center of gravity and my center of pressure or center of drag on the rocket has to be balanced out. So I've got the nose cone right here, and I call this the nose cone assembly. Actually, there's a little metal rod that runs all the way through here, and then inside of here goes the payload and electronics bay, which is this. And I don't want to lift it up too high because I've got it tethered to the rocket down there on the ground with this piece of paracord. But I'm basically finishing this guy for flight prep, and I wasn't planning on launching any electronics on this flight, and I'm still not, unless I can get some money together and order a couple altimeters really, really fast. But it doesn't look like that's going to happen. But I will be launching the battery pack for this rocket. Now, this is a LiPo battery, and in addition to doing a flight test to make sure that the battery can handle the stresses of flight, and in case you're wondering, I'm just popping this in here with zip ties. Now, when this thing takes off, it's going to be moving at about 10 Gs, so some consideration has to go into making sure that this thing is secure. And so what I'm going to be doing is basically wrapping this with several zip ties to hold it in place both vertically and horizontally and on this axis to make sure that it doesn't move, because 10 Gs is a lot, and if this thing starts to wiggle, we're going to have problems. There's other problems this may encounter, and this may be dangerous for a first flight because you're introducing another potential problem. But I want the rocket ready to go so I can start testing electronics as soon as I have a successful first flight. So I'm kind of banking my money on having a successful maiden. And I'm basically just getting this guy ready to go today, so that when the launch comes, the launch will be on the 20th, and I'm going to try to take some video if I'm not too distracted by everything else that's going on around me, because this is my first high-power launch. But we're basically going to just zip tie this guy in here, and then once he's in here, then we'll be ready to go, so to speak, if I can get the zip tie in the right spot. And this battery can actually be charged while it's in the housing, so I don't actually have to take it out like you would a 9-volt battery or something like that. These LiPos hold up pretty well, and this will be the power system for the whatever flight computer I decide to get as far as testing, like 2-stage deployment. So this rocket right now is set up for a single-stage deployment, and yeah. So that's what we got to do, and I've also got to figure out how I'm going to run a rod right through the middle of this battery. More testing will be required. Anyways, though, that's what I'm going to do. The rocket itself is right here. You can see all the shroud lines hanging out. That's because the parachute is actually stuffed in here inside of a protective Nomex wadding that will keep it from getting singed. When that ejection charge blows, it blows from the back of the rocket and it fills the rocket up with gas. That gas pushes the parachute out so that it can come down. That's a single stage recovery. On a dual stage recovery, you would have something like a drogue chute pop out, and then there would be a secondary charge to deploy the main chute after that. So I'm just trying to figure out the best configuration for this battery, get everything where it needs to be, and then we'll be lined up for launch. And another thing with putting the battery up here, we'll move the center of gravity forward on the rocket, because even though I'm within range, my center of pressure is right here, and you ideally want your center of gravity to be at least, 1.5 times the diameter of the rocket forward from that point. So it'd be about where my pinky is, and this extra weight at the nose will also help to make sure that happens. Anyways, the next rocket video I do will hopefully be the launch, but I figured I'd show you guys a little bit about what's going on and some of the stuff that's involved in putting these things together. And after I get this guy loaded in the payload bay, aside from a quick battery check to make sure it's safe, yeah, this will be it. The rocket will be ready to go, and with any luck, I'll get my L1 in a small town near Springfield, Missouri, sometime around the 20th this month. On the 20th of this month. Just got to get down there. So everything's purchased, everything's ready to go. We are flight check ready. Just need to put a couple final touches on this thing and be ready to launch my own rocket. Maybe not as exciting as a space launch, but what can you do? Anyways, thanks for watching. Stay tuned, and I hope to see you in the future.